Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, Queen BSP, for another chapter of my book, Scientology Abuse at the Top. So in our last chapter, we did chapter 6, which was another trip to the RPF. So you got to hear all about that. And that's where I did all of my OT levels up to OT 5 at the time. And at the end of that chapter, I graduated successfully after 15 months of being on the RPF and getting through all of that. And I returned to the Commodore's Messenger Org International. So now we're going to get on with the next chapter, and that is chapter 7. And this chapter is called Scientology Celebrities. There it is. Okay, so let me go over here. All right. Chapter 7, Scientology Celebrities. After my RPF graduation, I spent the next year as the executive over the personnel division, responsible for the procurement, training, and posting assignments of CMO Inc. crew. In order to get new arrivals to the INT base, one had to pass through a series of confessionals while still in Los Angeles. There were several security and RTC terminals, meaning people, who had to approve a major submission, usually taking up 2 full crates of files and documents on someone, including videos of their confessionals. Very few people were ever allowed to pass through the clearance line. During this time, David Miscavige was spending the majority of his time in the Golden Era Productions organization, overseeing the production of technical training films and supervising construction and renovations projects on the property, his favorite hobby horse. Plus, he was always working on producing the next upcoming event, for which he's usually the main speaker. Scientology events have a ton of videos with lots of special effects to wow the public. Scientology events are held several times throughout the year, including LRH's birthday in March, Dianetics Day in May, the annual Maiden Voyage celebration of the Free Winds in June, Auditor's Day to acknowledge top Scientology counselors in September, the International Association of Scientologists celebration in October, and a New Year's event to recap the yearly accomplishments. For those who don't know, the Free Winds is a 440-foot ship where the highest levels of Scientology counseling are delivered to parishioners. The ship's home port is Curacao. And I'll put a picture up so that you can see what that looks like. The Seamoint terminal, meaning person, responsible for Golden Era Productions is WDC Gold. That's the Watchdog Committee member for Golden Era Productions. This post was unfilled, which made Miscavige furious, since he had no one to apprentice on his escapades in gold. I was ordered to get the job filled as top priority, and I was put on rations of beans and rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner until this was done. For the next 2 months, I compiled and submitted 48 different posting proposals, none of which were approved. The WDC Gold had to be someone Miscavige felt he could train to take over what he was doing in gold, and no one appeared to be good enough for that. Finally, Miscavige reposted the person he had originally removed in the beginning. The WDC position over the Celebrity Center sector was also unfilled, and the handling of key Scientology celebrities was being done directly by RTC under David Miscavige's supervision. Therefore, the post of WDC for Celebrity Centers, WDC CC, became my next top priority post to fill. While working to locate someone suitable, I was briefed that I'd be doing a special project in LA to establish the Tom Cruise household with staff who were all Scientologists. Without telling these people who we were hiring for, I was to call in and video interview upscale Scientologists in the LA area for specific positions. This included locating an executive housekeeper, cook, cleaner, and nanny. Shelley Miscavige, David's wife and personal assistant, supervised me directly on this project. After several days of interviewing, I narrowed down the prospective people for these positions and compiled submissions to Shelley with the basic information and video for review. Those finally approved were hired by Tom's assistant, Andrea. Andrea came to me one day at Celebrity Center International and said that the nanny I proposed did have great credentials. However, they wanted someone much younger and more hip. I didn't find someone who fit the bill as part of my project, so I'm not sure who Tom and Nicole ended up with as their nanny at the time. During my project, Tommy Davis, then President CC Inc.'s assistant, and I went to Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman's residence in Pacific Palisades while they were not at home. We met with another Sea Org member named Jenny, who normally worked in the LRH household unit. The household unit personnel were LRH's staff that took care of his personal needs, cooking, laundry, cleaning. And after LRH passed away, they became responsible for maintaining LRH's personal possessions and spaces located at the INT base. Jenny showed me around Tom and Nicole's house and briefed me on all of the functions she was personally performing for them, which would need to be turned over to the new staff I was hiring. Prior to this meeting, I had no idea that one of LRH's personal staff members was being used to service Tom Cruise. Jenny showed me the in-house theater and described how two highly trained audiovisual personnel, also from the LRH household unit, had put many, many hours into the AV setup to make it perfect. I thought I was one of the only Sea Org members off my own job to work for Tom Cruise, which was unusual enough. Come to find out, David Miscavige had several of us catering to Tom behind the scenes. Tom also had a Scientologist named Alan handling some sort of investment or financial matters for him, which had apparently gone bad. Alan was not a Sea Org member, but after he got in trouble for his mistakes, he was brought up to the INT base by Miscavige, which was highly unusual. Alan was assigned to manual labor while being investigated. He was then put through lower conditions under RTC to make up for whatever damage he had done. Again, RTC is Religious Technology Center. I was ordered to get Alan to join the Sea Org, which he at first refused because of huge personal debts. When I reported this to my superiors, showing he wasn't qualified to join at the time, I was told to let him know he didn't have a choice. Alan gave in and signed his Sea Org contract. Upon his arrival to the ESO, which is short for Sea Org, Alan was immediately sent to the free winds to clean the bilges as part of his quote-unquote handling by RTC. Alan eventually became staff at Celebrity Center International, but then ended up leaving entirely because he was unable to handle his pressing debts on the Sea Org salary, which was less than $50 a week. By this time, I had been appointed as the Watchdog Committee member over the Celebrity Center sector. I assumed post in October 1991. One of the first things I did was go inspect Celebrity Center International, located in Hollywood, California. Their building was under renovation, and the whole organization was set up in trailers on the property. They had been set up like that for several months as the renovations were dragging out endlessly. The staff would eat their meals outside under tents, rain or shine, and they needed extensive funding and a real workforce to get their building restorations completed. CCN was also a mess organizationally. No one really in charge, no standard uniforms, staff untrained on their jobs, backlogged paperwork everywhere, and they were servicing very few public. RTC was having to directly supervise delivery to celebrities, which was being done in various locations, nowhere near CCN. I knew it was going to be quite a challenge to take CC International from the existing scene to a much more ideal scene, but I was quite excited to get on with it. There was someone already in training at the INT base for the position of Commanding Officer, CC International, Dave Pettit. He had been handpicked as a stable executive from the Church of Scientology in Orange County. As his wife Diana was not qualified to join the Sea Org and they had 2 children together, Dave was promised by his recruiters that Diana could work at CCENT in a non-Sea Org capacity. This was a promise that was unfortunately never honored, and they eventually had to divorce after many, many years of separation. Dave Pettit was one of the finest people I have ever met. He's a hard worker with a real passion to help people and no concept that something can't be done. Okay, I've heard horror stories about Dave since this time. And also, I've been out for 18 years and he's still on that job. But yeah. Dave and I teamed up to take on the current state of CCENT and transform it into a real upscale facility for celebrity Scientologists, which was quite an adventure and the best time I ever had in the Sea Org. Dave took over the day-to-day running of the Celebrity Service Organization as its commanding officer to bring in new public and get them signed up for Scientology courses and counseling and being well serviced. I posted a commanding officer for the Manor Hotel, where CCENT is housed, to run every aspect of the hotel. I orchestrated and ran a series of 30 to 40 projects to rapidly build these organizations. As a brief summary of what was accomplished, both CCENT and the Manor Hotel were manned to complement, with all staff groomed up, uniformed, and trained, both on the basics of the organization and on their specialized function. I hired professionals in the hotel restaurant, which was brought up to 4-star standards. I hired security pros to train the staff security guards while providing extra security for celebrity safety on the premises. I got a team of technical delivery personnel trained up to deliver to celebrity public. I launched projects to recover celebrities back onto service. I had a project to groove in the use of routing forms for all lines in the organization, such as public routing onto course, etc. I launched public division projects to get all of their basic functions being performed to contact and route in new public. We got the treasury backlogs handled, and CCENT became solvent for the first time in several years, with all back bills paid off. I sent a team into their central files where folders are kept for correspondence with every person ever serviced by the organization to get them up to date and all unanswered letters handled. I had a project to sort out CCENT's career counseling service so its functions were standardized and fully documented. We created marketing campaigns for Manor Hotel and for the Celebrity Service Organization to reach and bring in new public. I put an external management unit in place to run all of the Celebrity Center organizations around the world: New York, Paris, London, Nashville, etc. I got a team of 6 highly trained Sea Org members together to deliver the OT levels to the CCENT crew as their reward for rapid expansion. During this time, I mainly stayed at the Celebrity Center and only went back to CMO-INT when coordination was needed that couldn't be taken care of over the phone. The atmosphere at home was quite the dichotomy to CCENT, and I was all too happy to get back to LA as fast as possible. While there was a lot of confusion to deal with as we built the organization, the morale was high and we were very much on purpose. The staff would fall over themselves trying to do whatever was expected of them, and they'd compete with other divisions to be the first to meet all of their set targets. Each year, CCENT celebrates their anniversary in August with a huge gala event. This tradition began in earnest in 1992 after the full renovations and landscaping were completed of the Manor Hotel. David Miscavige was supposed to be the main speaker at this grand opening event. However, he had just broken his ankle playing basketball with Tom Cruise, so his foot was in a cast. Other speakers were chosen to replace him. Yeah, the person who was chosen was Mike Rinder, and what David Miscavige did was he got in a helicopter and flew over the event as it was happening. It was hard to hear the speaker because David Miscavige's helicopter was right above head. It was a total distraction. Anyway, CCENT had become a place where celebrities could be serviced and bring in their friends to introduce them to Scientology. By March of 1993, CCENT had achieved such rapid expansion that they were awarded St. Hill Size status, which is the most prestigious award for an organization within the church. So The St. Hill Manor in Sussex, England, is where L. Ron Hubbard lived and worked from 1959 to 1966. Much of early Scientology was developed there, including organizational technology. Later, LRH made a game for all orgs to become as big and booming as St. Hill in the 1960s. When they would achieve specific requirements, they would be awarded St. Hill size at a major Scientology event. I held my head up high for that accomplishment, and so did the CC and Manor Hotel crew, who all worked so hard to reach that goal. Although I was mainly concerned with building the organization, I did meet several of the top Scientology celebrity public at the time, including John Travolta, Kelly Preston, Kirstie Alley, Ann Archer, Nancy Cartwright, Billy Sheehan, Priscilla and Lisa Marie Presley, Juliette Lewis, Isaac Hayes, Tom Cruise, Edgar Winter, and Jenna Elfman. I got stories on all of them. I recall walking past the CC recruiter's office where I saw Jenna being interviewed. I'm talking about Jenna Elfman here. She was crying as she couldn't decide if she should join the Sea Org as CCent or pursue an acting career. At that time, she was just getting started in acting with a few commercials under her belt. As the recruiter wouldn't let up, and I could see she was torn about what to do, I went into the office. I told Jenna that I thought she should go become a wonderful actress and told the recruiters to scratch her name off the list and leave her be. I said she has a great career ahead of her, and that's what we should let her do. She thanked me profusely and went on to be quite successful. Yeah, she was totally crying and sobbing, and I was thinking, I don't want a staff member that's a crybaby. You go do your acting thing. The first time I met Isaac Hayes, I was getting ready for a celebration dinner in the Renaissance restaurant located in the Manor Hotel. I should include photos of these guys. I think I even have photos with me and Isaac, so I'll pull those out. Isaac and I got into the same elevator. I had no clue who he was. We got to talking, and I thought that this gentleman was one of the kindest people I had ever run into, so I invited him to dinner. We met at the restaurant and sat together. I still didn't know who he was until several celebrities came over to our table and greeted him as if he were the Black Moses. I was so embarrassed to admit my ignorance, but he was very sweet about it, as he quietly pointed out that the entire sleeve of my ruffled white blouse was soaking in my large bowl of bright red tomato soup. We had a good laugh and bonded as friends. It's so funny because all I was ever used to was wearing a uniform. And so I had borrowed something to wear, and it had ruffles on the sleeves, that hung down. And so, I go to reach for something and my entire sleeve is like soaking in the soup. Smooth move. Anyway, that was embarrassing, but we laughed about it. Each year, Celebrity Center International hosts a Christmas benefit event with several celebrities performing and in attendance. At their Christmas show in 1993, 5 celebrities, Kelly Preston, Isaac Hayes, Juliette Lewis, Maxine Nightingale, and Charles Durning, were served with deposition subpoenas for an ongoing trial against Scientology. Needless to say, this was a huge flap for security. I was ordered by RTC to immediately beef up the CCN security force and get them trained by professionals, while the Office of Special Affairs took care of cleaning up the legal mess they were now faced with. Okay, and for those who don't know what the Office of Special Affairs is, OSA, it's a division of the Church of Scientology International responsible for directing legal affairs, public relations, pursuing investigations, and publicizing the church's social betterment works. OSA International runs a network of directors of special affairs who serve in local churches around the world. Okay, so that's their lame definition. My definition of OSA is it's the attack arm of Scientology. Gestapo. I interviewed several highly trained security professionals until I found someone I felt would be perfect for the job. His name was John, a former member of the Secret Service. I hired him and then appointed several guards who John put through extensive security training to help keep Celebrity Center safe and secure. We once nearly had a major breach of security for a well-known spokesman for the Church of Scientology. It came up that this person, this is an interesting story. It came up that this person had videoed himself having sex with several other men, which could have created bad publicity for the church if the information were to be exposed. The president, CC, Karen Hollander at the time, and I were ordered by my superiors, Miss Gabbage via Mark Yeager, to work out a complete handling to address this matter with ethics, technology, and counseling to get him to improve his moral code and change his ways. The Church of Scientology is homophobic and considers gay or lesbian individuals to have an aberration, a disorder in one's mental state, requiring urgent handling. We gathered up all of the documentation on this person from his confessionals and ethics interviews. We put all documents in a briefcase and drove to CMO Int to present and coordinate our proposed handling. Karen and I then drove back to Los Angeles to activate the handling, arriving at CC Int about midnight. Instead of bringing the briefcase into the office, we thought it would be safe in the locked car, which was in the security-gated underground private parking garage of the president's office. We were awoken the next morning by Tommy Davis, then president's assistant. He called to inform us that he had taken the president's car at 2 a.m. and driven it to his birthing location in a crime-ridden section of town. When he got there, he took the briefcase that was in the back seat and placed it into the trunk so it was, quote unquote, more secure. When he arrived to the car in the morning, he discovered the trunk had been broken into and the briefcase was gone. Karen and I looked at each other in utter disbelief. We knew the consequences would be devastating if we didn't find that briefcase at once. I mean, get the... We were stupid not to take it in anyway, but so we have all the documentation in one place on a celebrity who was a spokesperson for Scientology, and a whole laid out handling of what's to be done with this person. And all of it's gone now into somebody's hands. Who knows who has it in Hollywood, you know? And the whole briefcase totally gone. It was all of it wasn't just his ethics folder and program, but it also contained his case folder and other documents that were so private to him. Anyway, very irresponsible of us. We sent Tommy dumpster diving all over Hollywood looking for the briefcase. He got the word out that there would be a nice reward for anyone who could help find this briefcase and return it with all of its contents. I was being called every hour by RTC on the status of our search. Days went by. We didn't let up. Tommy met dozens of people who lived on the streets and had a small army helping to spread the word to solve this crime. Then a call came in. Someone had found the briefcase. A homeless man had been sitting on a rooftop across the street from where the car was parked that night. He saw two robbers break into the trunk and take the briefcase to a nearby dumpster where they pried it open and emptied its contents. As there appeared to be nothing of value to the robbers, they left everything there and took off. The homeless man then came down from the roof and collected up the briefcase and its contents and brought it to an elderly woman's apartment for safekeeping. He couldn't read, but thought maybe he could sell the briefcase to someone for a few bucks. Then he heard about a man from Celebrity Center International named Tommy offering a reward for a missing briefcase, and he called the number. Tommy immediately went and picked up the man and the briefcase and brought them back to CC Int. Karen and I verified all folder contents were intact, and this gentleman was given his reward. What a close call. Oh yeah, a handsome reward. You know, I think he got a $20 bill. How cheap. I didn't do that. That was the president, but that was very cheap. but we got everything back. Oh, that was a happy day. Due to the important impact celebrities could have on Scientology's image, their personal information was passed among staff on a need to know basis, which seemed to have wide boundaries. Celebrities receive interviews, confessionals, and general counseling services during which the counselor takes detailed notes. These notes are kept in a confidential, quote unquote, folder for that person. Additionally, all rooms where such counseling takes place are equipped with hidden cameras and microphones, which record and store the entire event. Information obtained on a person by the church is priest penitent privileged information intended to be kept confidential and recorded only to help guide the person to spiritual enlightenment. I have seen this trust violated on several occasions throughout the years, especially with staff members, but also with celebrities. Some celebrities hire Scientologists as part of their personal entourage, security staff or household personnel, etc. I know of a few instances where these people were security checked by the church to find out if their celebrity employer was up to anything that would be against Scientology's moral code. This was a way to verify they were living a life that would best represent Scientology, and where this wasn't the case, the celebrity would be seen by a church staff member in order to correct any deviation. One of the goals for the church was written by L. Ron Hubbard as to make celebrities into walking success stories of Scientology, so they will promote the religion and thus bring in a huge volume of new members worldwide. This is one of the reasons Miscavige took a strong interest in the celebrity center sector and could routinely be seen hobnobbing with celebrities. I think there's other reasons too. They are often rich and influential, associate with other rich and influential people. Plus, a large percentage of the yearly donations to the church are made by Scientology's top celebrity public. At the Int base, Miscavige is known to pride himself on having memorized the sexual irregularities of practically every staff member there. He has demonstrated his accomplishment, quote unquote, to others by picking staff at random and announcing their most embarrassing sexual information to prove how much he's in the know. His fixation did not stop there, however. Miscavige carried this into the lives of Scientology parishioners too. I was in Mark Yeager's office when Miscavige called in to brief him on the latest with a female celebrity connected with Michael Jackson. Yeager kept saying, "No way, really? That's completely out of control," as he laughed and shook his head in disbelief. I sat there wondering what they could be talking about that got them giggling like little elementary school kids. But that was their business and I wasn't about to ask. When Yeager hung up the phone, he told me what he had just been briefed on. Obviously, these two were snooping into celebrity confessionals, then snickering about the deeply personal information they learned. I wondered what this celebrity would think if she knew this was happening by the top executives of her church. Shortly after this time, Yeager came to tell me that any communication concerning celebrities was to be handwritten, off the computer, and sent via confidential mail packs that were couriered between the Int base in Los Angeles on a daily basis. We also had to use code names for the top celebrities. He said it had been discovered that several of the computer messages between myself and the president, CC Int, made their way to the internet. This included the list of celebrities we had selected to bring into Scientology. Wow. The computer system that the church management uses is not directly connected to the internet. This means that someone within the church was leaking the information. This was a 5-alarm fire and a major breach of security. Investigations began instantly into the INCOM division, which is the computer division of the Sea Org. INCOM stands for International Network of Computer Organized Management. I also learned that David Miscavige's computer was hacked into as well, so I knew all hell was going to break loose until the culprit was found. There was a complete lockdown of all INCOM personnel, while INT management executives executed a project to locate the plant. find out who he worked for and who else in Incom knew about it. A plant is someone placed inside an organization for the purpose of functioning in secret, as by observing, spying, or influencing behavior. I've heard stories about how gruesome that experience was by people who were on both ends of the interrogations. One story was written by former ESO member Dan Garvin, which I've quoted a portion of here. The full story can be seen on lermanet.com/Dan Garvin. This is what he wrote. On St. Valentine's Day, February 1995, a very strange thing happened in LA. All of the personnel of Incom, along with a number of others who had dealings with Incom, disappeared behind the org's perpetually locked doors in the Big Blue complex. They no longer appeared at meals in their private dining room, even those who had non-income spouses they normally dined with. In fact, they never even came home anymore. Late at night and early in the morning, they could sometimes be seen parading single file under the eagle eyes of imported security guards from the Incom offices to locked stairwell that leads to the Incom birthing wing on the 4th floor of the main building, the Y-shaped building that fronts on Fountain Avenue. Apart from that, for 4 months, these people were rarely seen by others. They never went anywhere unescorted by security guards. Even RPFers can be escorted by other RPFers, and seldom went anywhere, period. They never saw their spouses or children unless it was by chance encounter while being herded to or from their special birthing, or occasionally taken elsewhere on some special task. What the hell was going on? This was unprecedented, even in an environment where paranoia is regular. Other Sea Org members who asked about it were told, "You are not to even think about it. Don't wonder. Don't speculate. Do not try to find out. Do not talk about it with others. It is none of your business." Once in a while, before the 4 months were up, someone would re-enter normal Sea Org society from inside, but they were silent as monks about what had happened. Finally, toward the end, the Incom prisons started emptying out rapidly. People went back to post except for half a dozen or so who turned up on the RPF and a few who were dismissed from the Sea Org. However, none of them said a word, and to this day, practically nobody knows what happened. When they were released, the prisoners were ordered not to tell anyone, even those with high security clearances, anything about what had occurred or what was done to them. The truth is, most of the incarcerated never really found out themselves why they had spent several months under house arrest and perpetual guard. Dan Garvin. I really wish that anyone who was in that situation at the time, who finally got out of the Sea Org, if they would come forward and speak up about what was done. I would love to tell your story. Miscavige briefed the Inc. crew that RTC found a plant in Incom and that the matter was being dealt with severely. We didn't know how severely, however. No further specifics were provided, as internal and external threats were contained by RTC and the Office of Special Affairs, so the general staff members could continue to concentrate on expansion without any distractions. For the CC sector, their expansion depended upon high-quality service to existing celebrities and recovering those that have gone adrift, while disseminating to new celebrities to bring them into the fold. Okay, so that's the end of Chapter 7, Scientology Celebrities. Of course, I'll talk more about that later in the book because I was on that job for a very long time. But that gives you the idea of what it was like to assume the post of WDCCC and take over that organization, which was in a shambles when I started. I remember when I first got started on that position, Shelley Miscavige, David Miscavige's wife, where's Shelley, by the way, had me apprentice under her to get established onto post and up the conditions. So each of the conditions that you can be in, like when you assume a new post, you start in new post non-existence, and that has a bunch of steps. And then you rise up into the danger condition, and then you rise up into the emergency condition, and then finally you can rise into a normal condition and higher. So all of those initial conditions, she didn't want just the condition formula. She wanted every step of that formula to be approved by her. So I had to sit there and prove every inch of the way that I could take control of the Celebrity Center sector and improve it and expand it and take care of the celebrities so that RTC, who was dealing with them full time, had someone to turn them over to. And so we put an organization there that could do that. I can't vouch for anything that's happened afterwards. And since the technology of Scientology is destructive, I'm sorry for my part in what I did to expand Scientology, because what happens is Scientology celebrities give credence to the workability of Scientology technology. And to the degree that we have happy celebrities speaking about and promoting Scientology is the degree that number of people are still coming in. So that whole thing needs to be shut down. It needs to be exposed and shut down. So anyway, I've been working on it. I've been working on it for 18 years, keeping the exposure going and trying to get the truth out so that people can be warned, and don't just take Tom Cruise's word for it or any of the other celebrities' word for it. Just because they know how to act or they're, rich and famous does not mean that they know what they're talking about and that what they do should be done by everybody in the population. That's for sure. So anyway, there's my story. I'm sticking to it. And the next chapter is going to be a new era of management. And there's a lot that went on with that. And so until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.